if you watch the Weather Channel, you may not recognize his face, but I will promise you that you will recognize and you have seen some of the video that he has taken, not only in person, but with his drone. Charles Peak, thank you so much for coming in all the way from Springdale.
Yeah, it was a long drive, you know, but I didn't have to get a hotel or anything.
All right, so how did you, how did you get into this crazy business?
Well, I've always loved weather, and it was one of those things back in 2013. You know, there were some tornadoes in the area, and so I started going out and going after them, and then one thing led to another. I got a little more serious in it. My job allowed me to work around that at the time. And then one of the other storm chasers out there reached out to me. He was doing a lot with the Weather Channel, asked if I could partner up with him. Then I ended up meeting the executives at the Weather Channel, and then ultimately it's, you know, I'm the only storm chaser field reporter for the whole country for us.
And so tell me about that, because it's very rare that you're home.
I'm gone more than I'm home. It just depends on, you know, the needs of the network, what situation they are, how, you know, how big it is. I will mostly stay on things within, say, a 9 to 12 hour drive of Northwest Arkansas, but on bigger events, any tropical, sometimes big blizzards, but like this last one, you know, we had them almost back to back. So it was like, you know, the ice storm was there, and then they're like, okay, can you go up to Nashville, get us some stories up there, and let's see what this next one's going to do. And then it's like, okay, can you go to South Carolina, and you have the South Carolina part, and we had teams in North Carolina, you know, spread out all over, you know.
You have seen and have covered some of the most devastating storms, you know, including right here in Northwest Arkansas and well, Memorial Day from a couple of years ago. What's that like when you pull up to a scene, or when you pull up to an area that has just been destroyed by? I mean, you've got a job to do, obviously.
Right. It depends on what the situation. Unfortunately, in a few cases, it may be having to check the pulse of somebody who just got killed. Then at that point in time, you know, there's really nothing you can do to help them. I carry a trauma kit if I need to do first aid. We do that in some of the situations, do what we can until you know, first responders get there, because I'm ahead of the first responders in a lot of cases. And so then it's a situation depending on who they are, what they need. You know, if I can help them, I'll help them, or sometimes it's get out of their way so they can do their job. You know, then it transitions. You know, you take off the storm chaser hat and you put on the reporter hat. And for me, some people, you know, wonder, well, how can you do that? You know, it's in many cases their worst day of their life, and you're wanting to stick a camera in their face. And for me, Darren, I don't do it that way. I'm not going to stick a camera in their face. I'm going to talk to them first. And the way I look at it is, you know, the Weather Channel has a national audience. I have my own brand on social media. And if I can help them tell their stories, then we know people will respond, give to aid organizations that can come help them, maybe volunteer, you know, and so then in that aspect, you know, in some cases, Darren, I'm praying with the person, giving them some comfort, crying with them occasionally, you know, just the humanity of the situation for me is how can I help them? I realize there's no magical words, but what I find a lot of times, I call it the ministry of presence. You were there.
You know, and it sounds like that is what gets you through and helps you get them through the devastation. So you've been to so many of these, it's almost like, oh gosh, I have to go back to another devastating area. But it sounds like that helps you get through a lot of this.
You know, for me, I don't feel that way. It's not, oh no, I have to. I literally want to. I see that what I do can help the situation. I wish there was a way I could stop the storms from happening, you know, or just put them out in wide open fields. I mean, those tornadoes out in the wide open fields of Kansas are beautiful, but coming through Rogers, Arkansas, not so much. And but again, to use it, you know, at the Weather Channel, we will tell those stories. We're still telling stories about down in Mississippi. I mean, I was just talking to one of the mayors, Hickory Flat, Mississippi this morning. Their county still has almost 50% of the county without power, and we're 13, 14 days after the storm.
Some of the video I've seen of yours as well is just incredibly beautiful. There was one of a sunset that I can think of, or that looked like there was rain or something coming behind it. Your drone work is. How long did it take to master that?
Well, I'll say it's a continuing process. You know,
Yes.
You're constantly trying to figure out. I've been in photography and dabbled with that my whole adult life. I was in the Presidential Honor Guard in Washington, D.C., and my wife bought me a film camera back there that I could do of the Washington, you know, the different monuments and stuff, and that's when it got started. But, you know, it gives you a different perspective. Of course, lots of people have drones now, but it's interesting to see it it's not just fly it, you know, it's trying to get it to where it can help tell a story. And, you know, for an example, the other day I was in Myrtle Beach, and you know, to be able to fly down the beach to show Myrtle Beach in the background and in a white beach, some people go, "Well, I thought that was sand, and it's snow," you know. And then just to see the draped snow-covered trees and fly through them, and to show that, you know, helps people more than just words on a screen, but can capture it that way.
Did you think when you first started doing this that it would be this global, I say, because you're all over the country?
Yeah. No, I had no idea. You know, it started out and you just go out there and do it. I remember when I was the gentleman that I partnered up with at the Weather Channel first that was doing some stuff with him. I'll never forget, we were at a tornado deal. I'm like, why don't we go interview? We don't do that. Well, let's do it, you know. And then vice president at the Weather Channel a couple of years ago, he's moved on now, but he said, you sort of created a position for yourself here that I don't have anybody else that I could replace you with, you know. But we all know they'll replace you real quick if they need to.
Yes.
I'm not naive enough to think. But, you know, it's one of those deals. I don't want to just sit at home and do nothing. What can I do?
So how many miles do you have? I mean, how far-reaching, and you've got to have like a bunch.
I'll do about 75 to 85,000 miles a year, and so it, you know, and a lot of people don't think about it. Sometimes when it's that 18-hour drive, it gets to you. In some cases, in severe weather, I may be in the car for 18 hours and only get out for maybe 30 minutes at a time. My doctor gets on me. He's going, okay, every 2 hours, at least walk around the car or something, but. You know, it's a constant moving target that we're trying to stay in position for.
How has technology advanced that you use to make your job what it is?
Oh, I couldn't do what I do now 25 years ago. The technology with a lot of the radar, the apps that you can use, the different things for me to help position myself have come so far, because I'm not a meteorologist, you know, and so I don't have that background that Scott or other meteorologists would have to be able to look at a lot of things. So I'm looking at weather models, different aspects to help put me in the right position, and you know, and now we're starting to see AI come onto the, you know, there's some products now that I was just talking to one of the guys that's programming this on being able to give you probabilities if this storm's going to produce a tornado, and it's just.
I can't see your job ending, because there's always going to be a human element in everything that you cover. Is that a fair statement?
I think it is. The thing that me talking in question, and you know, I'm sure it's going through your mind, is not going to necessarily be, is there a need for that content? But what is going to be the vehicle that carries that content? You know, as everything changes and more people are getting their stuff on the phones, and just, you know, and I was talking to a big name storm chaser, Reed Timmer, you know, probably 6 months ago, and he's got, Charles, I think it's going social media. And I said, Reed, I almost think 5 years from now it's going to be something that doesn't even exist today. Things are changing so fast, so we can't just figure it out today. You got to keep figuring it out.
Right, and that's, you know, and again, that human element that you present, to me, that really tells the story of how a storm or something affects them.
Right. You know, it's you know, you have people, some are scared of them. One of the things I enjoy doing, I'm sure Scott does it too, going into the schools. and being able to I was just up at one of the Springdale schools a couple of weeks ago with the kindergartners, and just to be able to talk to them, to try to help them. One of the sayings I say a lot is, don't be scared, be prepared. But I think the more knowledge and understanding you can have of it, it can be a healthy respect for it. Then unfortunately on the other end of the spectrum, the older people, you get a tornado warning and everybody ignores it, and you're trying to go, no, you need to go to your safe spot. So trying to find a balance between those two.
And that's an interesting aspect too, because we could sit and say that all, and because it happens so often, and I don't know if we're used to it here, maybe not so much in the northern part of the states, but anytime that happens, you just got to be prepared for this. How do you prepare when you're heading out knowing, hey, I'm driving into something?
Well, one of the key things with me, I've got a computer in my vehicle. I've got it tied into GPS, so then it's also tied into the radar. So I can I know exactly where the enemy is and where I am relative to it. And so depending on the situation, always looking for and having escape routes, depending on the direction of that tornado. And most times the tornado goes the direction we think it's going to go, most times. And you got to be careful for when it changes its mind. And so you need those escape routes and doing that. But Darren, I was down in Idabel, Oklahoma on a deadly tornado, and we were doing coverage there, and I was flying the drone with our talent that was there. And sometimes we'll have off-duty police officers we hire with us. And this sergeant, he goes, Charles, we get tornado warnings all the time and nothing happens. And I said, I totally understand that. I said, can I ask you a question though? He said, what's that? I said, are you wearing a bulletproof vest? And he said, well, yes, sir. I said, do you even know a police officer that's been shot? He said, no, not that I can think of. I said, listen, the odds are overwhelming you're never going to be shot, but you put on that vest every day because it could save your life. If you get a tornado warning, the odds are overwhelming it's not going to happen right where you're at, but to go to your safe spot for 15 or 30 minutes could save your life. And it seems like that people understand a police officer putting on a vest,
Right. Yeah.
And so it can resonate that, no, we're not saying be scared that, doom is coming, but we also want to realize it can happen, and people in Northwest Arkansas can testify to that.
How has what you've done over the years changed you?
Well, one of the things that happened in this period of time, we had, it was a big flood aspect here in Northwest Arkansas. Lightning struck a tree just outside of my house. I was with my wife, she's with Arvest. They had a big thing up at Big Cedar Lodge, and I get a phone call from my next door neighbor saying, your house is on fire. And we lost everything. And there were times me and her just hugged each other out in front crying, and it was just stuff. And you hear that sometimes, oh, it's just stuff, it can be, but it was our stuff. And for me, that aspect of changing it from empathy, or sympathy, and changing to empathy, where I can walk up, even sometimes to a business owner, you'd think it's just their business that got hit. It's devastating for them. And to be able to, come in there, report what I need to report, but also try to give them some encouragement, compassion, some empathy, that it's okay. And Bob, Darren, I'm sorry, occasionally that means setting the camera down and not even getting the story.
How long do you plan on doing this?
Well, I keep saying, my wife laughs at me, it's a taxing physically, even though it's not like you're building bridges or something. But I hope to be able to do it as long as I can. Things are changing. How many people are going to keep watching cable TV, regular TV? What's going to be the changes? And I don't know the answers to those. So as long as they'll have me, I'll keep working at it.
Charles, pleasure. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
And stay safe.
All righty now.